Welcome to the Hockey Writers Blackhawks Banter, a weekly show with our top Chicago Blackhawks writing crew, bringing you the latest news, rumors, trades, player grades, game results, and much more. From training camp to the playoffs, from Chelsea Dagger to the Madhouse on Madison, our team covers everything that happens with the Hawks. So get comfortable, grab a beverage. It's time for some Blackhawks Banter. Blackhawks Banter.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 67 of Blackhawks Banter presented by the Hockey Writers. It's the Michael Frolik episode that Gail pointed out to me, and we're kind of excited about that because we love pointing out those fun grinders for the Hawks back in the day. We love it. But I'm your host, Brooke Laferno, and I'm here with my colleague, Gail Kowchuk. And this is an exciting episode because we're joined by a special guest, Colin Newby, who writes for the Philadelphia Flyers. So we're doing a fun crossover episode here at the Hockey Writers where we're going to discuss the in and outs of the Hawks and Flyers because they will be facing each other on March 5th. So we're really excited about this one. It's the first time we're doing something like this. But before we get into that, this episode of the Hockey Writers is brought to you by the Morning Skate. So Monday through Friday, the Morning Skate will send an email of a newsletter, a hockey newsletter where you can find the most amazing hockey content. I'm not just saying that because I'm biased. You will find stories there that you will not find anywhere else. It has stats, leaders, stories of arenas, the Olympics. It's amazing. You guys really, truly, it's the best. I can't say enough about it. So go to themorningskate.io, put in your email address, and that's it. There will be a link in the description for you guys to be able to do that. And also you can follow all of us on Twitter. Our usernames are right here on the screen. And we got a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. So Colin, since you're new here, on Blackhawks Banter, we kind of start with talking about the week that was, talking about how our teams did this past week. It looks like the Flyers lost their last 6 out of 7 games, and the Hawks have lost 5 of their last 7. It looks like we both lost to the Blues 2 this past week, so we're really thriving there. But let's just discuss what went wrong with our teams this week. Dale, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. Well, you're talking about how the Blackhawks have lost a bunch of games, but, let's not forget that they did have a really nice game against the Devils, the New Jersey Devils, 8-5 win, even before they lost to the Blues. So they got their job done against a subpar team. And let's face it, there's only so much that Coach Derek King can do with the lack of talent that's on the team. And let's face it, this isn't the same team that, won the cup 3 times. And there's only so much that the guys can do too. There's just only so much that they can do because they're playing teams that are better than them. And even if they're trying really hard, sometimes when the team is elite, there's not much that you can do. So I think that getting a healthy blue line back is going to help them. They've been without Riley Stillman for a bit, Calvin DeHaan for the last couple of games, and Jake McCabe was out for a game not too long ago too. And I think that getting Jonathan Toews back and maybe even Tyler Johnson back would give the forward group a boost. So the week that was kind of stinks, but I'm looking forward to what will come and hopefully getting some of the depleted lines and pairings back.
I agree. It was nice to have that game against New Jersey because you need one of those as a palate cleanser every once in a while. That's just fun and exciting. Yeah, exactly. But I agree. It stinks kind of where the rebuild is at because when you're just facing teams that are better than you, there's not much you can do. But it was nice to see some new faces this week with Isaac Phillips and Josiah Slavin. It was nice to see him again. So hopefully we'll see more of them. I know they were sent back down to Rockford, but the team kind of calls everyone up and down sparingly. So we'll see, but hopefully next week is a little better. Colin, tell us about the Flyers. What went wrong or right this week?
Well, for the Flyers, it was really same song, different verse this week. It's just been a nightmare season altogether, and they kind of continued that tune. The phrase I have been using recently is they're finding ways to lose.
Yeah.
They've lost 30 of their last 38 games, if you can even believe that. And it just keeps rearing its ugly head. These mistakes late in games. They lost 3 to division rivals in their most recent skid. They lost to the Penguins in OT. They lost to the Caps 5-3 with an empty netter, and then they lost to Carolina in OT. So there's 3 division rivals in the Metropolitan, close games, but no cigar in the end. And that's really just been the story for them for the majority of this season. They had a 10-game losing streak that ultimately is what ended Elaine Vigneault's tenure back in December. They went on a 13-game losing streak under Mike Yeo, stretching into late January, and the whole situation has been a disaster, and everybody has just gotten fed up.
Oh, I feel you. I know Gail's not
Here, yeah.
I feel like the Hawks and Flyers are just living vicariously through each other. And for those that don't know, the Flyers have 42 points and the Blackhawks have 46. So kind of the same story too. It's been a tough season.
I think the Blackhawks have played a couple more games too. I want to say when I looked at it. So we're pretty even. Yeah. Pretty even in the basement there.
Right. Yeah. And Colin, you can correct me on this one, but I would say that the expectations for the Hawks and Flyers were probably supposed to be a little bit better than what the season was. Is that right? Because you guys got Cam Atkinson and stuff.
Sure. I think both teams made some additions. Both missed the playoffs last year, and the Hawks brought in Seth Jones, Marc-Andre Fleury. These are big-name veteran players. The Flyers did the same, brought in Ryan Ellis, Cam Atkinson, Rasmus Ristolainen. Yeah. Some of these moves have panned out, some haven't. The Flyers have had a ton of injuries, and things just haven't gone the way they planned in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it does stink. Yeah, as a fan. And like we said, we get it. I feel like we're watching the same exact team, but right. Yeah, sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not. But you know what? Here we are. We're fans. We're sticking through it, and I hope things will get better down the stretch here. But that kind of brings us to our next topic of keys to victory for the Hawks and the Flyers. For those who don't know, the Hawks and the Flyers have not faced each other since October 2019. They faced each other twice that month, and the Blackhawks lost both of those meetings. And surprisingly, I found out that the Blackhawks have not beaten the Flyers in Philly in the regular season since November of 1996. So they beat them in the Stanley Cup final, but not in the regular season, which is amazing to me. So obviously the Hawks just don't match up well against the Flyers if they're not in this playoffs. So Colin, I'm going to start with you for the viewers here. What's the key to a Flyers victory against the Blackhawks?
Well, the thing with the Flyers recently is that they just can't finish a game. They've been tied in the third period in a couple of games, like I mentioned, against the Metro Division rivals and their Karen skid, but they just can't finish. All Swedish, no finish. That's a joke I've beaten into the ground over the years. But the Flyers, Mike Yeo did say on Saturday after a win against the Washington Capitals that they're starting to develop an identity. I don't know if he was just trying to allow himself to believe that or his team to hear it. But if you want to find some positivity in what he said, that identity of what he was talking about is a physical game. The Flyers have brought up Isaac Ratcliffe, who's a 6'6" winger, to play in their bottom six. He's been throwing the body around a little bit. They have Rasmus Ristolainen, who's another big defenseman. He could play a physical game. So in terms of a key to victory, I'll say for the Flyers to play a strong physical game.
Ooh, I like that. I know that Flyers and Hawks fans love that physical, nitty-gritty type of game. That's good hockey to us. I know that. Gail, what are the keys to victory for the Blackhawks?
Well, the Blackhawks are notorious for some reason playing competitive hockey against good teams, but then they play down to bad teams. And so I'm so sorry, Colin, but I think we've already established that both of our teams that we cover are not exactly really good teams. So I think that basically the key to victory is for the Blackhawks. They don't have that luxury of just taking it for granted, right? You know, they've really got to stick to their game. I just think they need to stick to a simple game. It was a road game. Don't take the Flyers for granted. Focus on doing the right things on the ice, and hopefully a win will come. So basically, I guess my point is just don't let this be a trap game for them.
Definitely agree. I think it's easy when a team is struggling to look at another team that's struggling and be like, hey, this is easy. But we all know that with the Blackhawks and the Flyers, that's definitely not the case. I think a key to victory here is just staying out of the penalty box, because the Blackhawks penalty kill just can't figure it out. And, if you give any team an opportunity, they're going to cash in at some point. So they have to play a strong, like you guys said, for both teams, they have to play a strong 60 minutes. They can't go 2 great shifts and then, put their foot off the gas, but definitely penalty kill for me, because it's just not working right now. And you just can't do that. So penalty kill for sure, but that I think will be a fun game. I'm actually looking forward to it because they play a similar style. So I think it'll be fun. So I guess, like I said, that leads into our third topic of players to watch. So I think this is going to be a real fun question. So Gail, I'm going to start with you. Who are 2 players to watch from the Blackhawks in this game?
Mine might be a little bit too easy, but I'm going to stick with it anyway. I think Alex DeBrincat is a given. After all, he leads the Blackhawks with 29 goals. And Patrick Kane is notorious for showing up when the team needs a boost. And let's face it, this team needs a boost. And of course, I think you already brought this up at the beginning of the show. You do remember in 2010 when Patrick Kane came through to win the Stanley Cup against the Flyers. So it might be an obvious and easy answer, but I say watch out for Cat and for Kane.
Ooh, I like it. Colin, I'm excited to hear your picks for players to watch.
I'm going to go with Cam Atkinson and Joel Farabee.
Ooh.
Atkinson has been pretty streaky, kind of like all goal scorers are. But in the past month or so, he hasn't gotten as many goals as chipping in with assists. But on Saturday afternoon, he scored on the first shift of the game. And I think he's playing some good hockey, and maybe he'll start to get the bounces a little bit more than he has in recent weeks. Second one, Joel Farabee. He is recently back in the lineup, returning from injury. He is a player that I've really enjoyed watching over the past couple years. I think the way that he possesses the puck and the vision that he has on the ice is great. And I think he's going to continue to develop at the NHL level. He's still only 22 years old.
Oh, I'm excited about that. When you said Cam Atkinson, yeah, for sure. That guy has done harm to the Blackhawks every time they faced the Blue Jackets in the past. He's been very good. And I am excited about Joel. How do you say his name? Farabee?
Farabee, yeah.
Farabee, okay. Yeah, I'm actually excited about that too. You just love the young players that have a lot to prove, and they show out and they're fun to watch. So I'm actually really looking forward to that. For players to watch on my end, I would actually say Hagel, only because, well, 1, he's having a great season, but 2, he plays a Philly style hockey. They like the hits, they like the grit, just real feisty players. And I think that's actually a game that he'll really stand out in a good way. So I would say look out for him too. I know, like I said, that kind of sounds like me and Gail are kind of saying generic stuff, but you know what? It works. So just go with it. We are halfway through our show. So for our mid-show reminders, you are watching episode 67 of Blackhawks Banter presented by the Hockey Writers. I'm your host, Brooke Laferno, joined by my colleague, Gail Kowchuk, and our guest for tonight, Colin Newby from the Philadelphia Flyers at the Hockey Writers. So we're doing a little crossover episode. If you missed the beginning of the show, please subscribe to the morning skate newsletter from the Hockey Writers. And please follow us on Twitter. Our usernames are right up there. On Zoom, talk with us, especially for the Hawks and Flyers matchup. We'd love to hear from you. So this is a topic I was really excited about. I think, Colin, you might be too. So the trade deadline's coming up, and I know the Hawks and Flyers have a lot of big names out there as trade candidates. And we wanted to ask you about Claude Giroux, because he's been in the trade rumor mill, and it's coming up on March 21st. So we kind of want to know, what are you hearing on that front? And what are your thoughts about the whole situation?
Well, this is going to be the biggest story to come out of Philadelphia in the second half of the season. The rumors are swirling. You're hearing things all over the place. Reports, and Giroux himself spoke last week, seemed almost a little bit emotional, if that's not too far to say. But I think one thing that isn't necessarily talked about in league circles enough, at least from what I hear, is the fact that Giroux has a no movement clause. So ultimately, he's the one that's going to decide what happens. The thought that he would go to a contender and chase a Stanley Cup, which he's never gotten in Philadelphia, that seems logical. I think that will ultimately be what happens, but the no movement clause is an element here that you really have to consider. It's tough to get in these guys' heads. Giroux has young children in Philadelphia. He's been here. He made his debut with the Flyers in 2008. So it's complicated. There's a human element to these things. That being said, I do think the Colorado Avalanche are a team that he'd be willing to waive that no movement clause for. I think the temptation would ultimately be too much, and this will be the end of Claude Giroux's tenure in Philadelphia. A couple other teams to keep an eye on, reports from the St. Louis Blues, Minnesota Wild, and Florida Panthers.
Ooh, yeah. When you said Colorado Avalanche, I know some Hawks players were linked to the Avalanche, and heck, I'm not a hockey player, but I want to go to the Avalanche. Good team. I would go there. Huh? Hey, but yeah, I actually feel for you guys because I know Claude Giroux is a big part of your team, and I know that'd be really hard to lose him, but I know there's still a lot of time. You don't know how that will unfold, but just what the Blackhawks need is Claude Giroux to go to the St. Louis Blues. Am I right? Like, just what we need. But Gail, would you want the Hawks to acquire Claude Giroux? Say he lifted his no movement clause and he said he wanted to go to the Blackhawks. Would you acquire him?
Well, no offense to Claude Giroux, no offense to the Philadelphia Flyers. But I know that that's probably like a big insult because that's basically like you guys saying that you don't want Jonathan Toews, but I would understand that. I just don't think that he fits into where the Chicago Blackhawks are right now. I don't think he fits into more of the rebuild type of situation. And let's face it, we already have Patrick Kane, we already have Jonathan Toews as veterans. And he's, 34, I think, years old, Giroux?
34.
Yeah. So I just feel like they're going younger, and he just wouldn't be a fit. Not that he wouldn't contribute, but maybe we would rethink this if we knew for a fact that Jonathan Toews was retiring or something of that sort. But as of right now, my gut would just say I just don't think he's a fit. No disrespect to him whatsoever, and his awesome career and his awesome playing accolades.
Yes, I agree. I love Claude Giroux as a player, but he deserves better than a team like the Blackhawks at this point. If they were competing and they were in the playoffs, I would say, heck yeah, get Claude Giroux on this team. That would be awesome.
As a rental or something, yeah.
Right, but selfishly, I don't want him traded into the Central Division. I don't want to be embarrassed by him on a nightly basis, but I do love him as a player. But yeah, it doesn't make sense for the Blackhawks, unfortunately, right now. Maybe in the future, but not right now. So that leads us into our segment. We're going to play a little fun game that me and Gail came up with this week. We're going to do a guess the player segment for our viewers and for you guys here. Even though the Blackhawks and Flyers don't necessarily trade with each other a whole lot and they don't see each other a lot, there actually is quite a few player connections that are recent that I thought we'd have a little fun with. So, Colin, I'm going to start with you. Are you ready for this trivia?
Mm-hmm. Go for it.
Okay. So, first question. Who is a current Flyers defenseman that was with the Blackhawks for a portion of the 2019-20 season?
So it can't be one of the top guys. Sanheim and Provorov have been with the Flyers. It would have to be a depth guy. I'm between two, Nick Seeler or Kevin Connaughton, and I'm going to guess Connaughton.
No, it's Nick Seeler. You were right. You should have gone with your gut.
50-50 there.
You should have gone with your gut. You were yeah, I thought about Kevin Connaughton too, actually. But Nick Seeler, for Hawks fans that don't remember, he only played 6 games for the Blackhawks. But if you wanted to know, he's now with the Flyers. So that's kind of a fun little connection. Okay, second question. Which current Flyers player has the most career points against the Blackhawks?
So I'm thinking somebody with a history in the Western Conference. You had said Cam Atkinson earlier. I was thinking Did he tear up the Hawks? Because Columbus actually did used to be in the West, but I'm going to stay with my initial hunch. Is it Ryan Ellis?
No, I actually thought it was. It's Claude Giroux, actually, which is why I'm saying I don't want him torturing us in the Central Division if he's not going to play with us. So
I'm surprised he's never played in the West.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was Cam Atkinson or Ryan Ellis, but Claude Giroux has 24 career points against the Flyers. Keith Yandel and Derek Brassard have 22 points, and Cam Atkinson has 21 points. So it was actually pretty close, but Claude Giroux is the winner there. I was actually surprised by that. So Gail, you are up next. Kevin Hayes is a prior first-round pick of the Blackhawks who currently plays for the Flyers. We don't need to dwell on how upsetting that is. But who is the other former first-round pick of the Blackhawks that was with the Flyers in 2019?
You know, I probably wouldn't have known this if it hadn't been for the fact that you brought this up last week on our show. Ryan Hartman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ryan Hartman. Those are two
round.
first-round picks. Yeah, it's very upsetting. I wish we were still there. Did you like Ryan Hartman, Colin?
I did. I feel like he was put in kind of a tough situation. They traded Wayne Simmons for him. Yeah. Wayne Simmons was everybody's favorite in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Hartman was only here a short time.
Yeah, he was, but it's good to know that he's still pretty beloved around the league, especially now this year with the season he's having. Gail, I'm actually excited to ask you this one too, because I don't know if this will stump you or not. Who is the player that won the Stanley Cup with the Blackhawks in 2013 and 15, but also played in the 2010 Stanley Cup final as a member of the Flyers?
I knew this one too. I'm so proud of myself. I actually know some more stuff than just Blackhawks. Although maybe I'm wrong. Daniel Carcillo.
Yeah, it is Daniel Carcillo. That's kind of like a random kind of stat or kind of random player that you'd never think that had that connection. But yeah, I think that's really cool, actually. I don't think a lot of people really remember that. So I hope I hope we educated some people here. Maybe. And I have two last questions for this round. This is for both of you. Answer at your will. Who is the former Blackhawk that was acquired by the Hawks in a trade with the Flyers in 2005? Historic.
Ooh, Patty Sharp.
Oh, yeah, Patty Sharp. Sorry about that.
One of the best players the Flyers have ever given up on too soon.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Just the fact that it was so long ago, you know, that was.
Yeah, it was. I had to look back. But yeah, thank you guys for that. I appreciate it. But like I said, now you guys are paying us back with Kevin Hayes and saying, yeah, okay. Don't need to dwell on this. Okay. Which former Flyers player did the Blackhawks acquire at the 2015 NHL trade deadline to boost their team to the Stanley Cup?
Yeah, can I take this one?
Yeah, go for it.
Himo Timonen.
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yes.
I
don't think he was really acquired to help them win the cup. I think he was just acquired because he hadn't won the cup prior to that.
Almost as a favor.
Yeah, but I was so happy.
Jonathan Toews handed off the cup right to Timonen, and he was the second person right after the captain.
I was going to say that they basically needed that veteran to pass the cup to, and so they're like, okay, Kimo.
Love it. It's such a wholesome Stanley Cup memory, and I was happy that Kimo got to experience that because that was his final year. I think after he won the cup, he retired, right?
Yeah, and he fought blood clots that season. He hadn't even been playing for the Flyers until that trade. So he had some pretty serious health issues. After that Stanley Cup.
Which makes it even more of a heartwarming story to know that he was able to get a Stanley Cup while dealing with all of that. But thank you guys for playing. To our viewers, I want to know how many did you get right, and do not lie. There's 6 questions, and please be honest. Don't say you got all 6 right, unless you really did. Then I'm proud of you. Okay, so finally, we are going to end our show like we usually do with the shootout round. Quick questions, 5 quick questions. Just say whatever comes to your brain. So the first question is, the Blackhawks face the Oilers, Flyers, and the Lightning this week. How many points do they get, Gail?
I'm going to say 4. I think they're going to win 2 games. And I have to put in my shameless plug right now. This Thursday, when the Blackhawks play the Oilers, is Nicholas Hjalmarsson Legacy Night. And Colin, you might not know this, but a lot of our viewers probably do. Nicholas Hjalmarsson is one of my favorite players. So I have to plug that. And so, woohoo, hopefully they'll win for Hjalmarsson.
Yes, I agree. I'm going to say 3. I think they'll beat the Oilers and maybe an overtime loss against the Lightning. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not good at this. But for Colin, the Flyers face the Oilers, Wild, and the Hawks this week. How many points do you think they're going to get?
I'll give them 2, but I think this is a tough stretch. Like we said, there's 2 playoff teams. But to give them the benefit of the doubt, I'll say 1 and 2. Keep it a little bit positive.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, that is a tough stretch. I agree with you. That's a really tough stretch. The second question of our shootout round. During the Hawks-Flyers game, who will score the first goal for the Hawks? Gail?
I don't know why this just popped into my head, and I'm kind of maybe, second guessing it now because of the physicality. But I did say DeBrincat and Kane to watch out for, so I think that their line mate Dylan Strome, I'm going to go with him, first goal.
Colin, who's going to score the first goal for the Flyers?
I'll go with Atkinson. He scored, I believe it was 11 seconds into the Capitals game the other day. Some point on the first shift, right off the opening faceoff. So he had some jump at his skates, and I'll go Atkinson.
Good choice. Yeah, good choice. I am going to say for the Hawks, I'll say Kane. I mean, he scored the Stanley Cup winning goal against the Flyers, so hey, maybe he'll do it again.
Yeah.
Maybe. Third question. So the Flyers and Hawks meet on March 5th in Philly and then on April 25th in Chicago. What is your final prediction for the series, Colin?
I'm going to say 1-1, but I'm going to do it the opposite. Both road teams win. On Saturday, I say the Hawks get a 4-3 victory. Do either of you know why I would say that this game would be 4-3?
Ooh.
Is that what it was for the 2010?
Yeah, was it? Oh. It was?
Kane scored in overtime and made it 4-3. Glad you called it. But I will give them a split, and I'll say the Flyers win in Chicago late in the year. That's going to be the point where they have some prospects coming up from Lehigh Valley in the AHL, and I'd like to see what they can do since that'll be I think it's the last week of the season.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
That's always, like we said, exciting to see the young kids, see what they can do. Gail, what are your predictions for the series?
I would really, really, really like to say Chicago Blackhawks are going to sweep, but I can't say that with confidence. So I'm going to go with a split as well. 1-1. Both teams win a game.
Yes, I say that too, but I don't trust them to win in Philly, knowing their record. They just have a hard time. So I'm going to say they'll win at home, but not at Philly.
Oh my gosh, but they're not good at winning at home either. Maybe we should go with 0-2, man.
Yeah. Maybe we should. I don't know, but we're trying to be optimistic here. Yeah. We have to be optimistic with these teams. We can't just be so depressing all the time. Okay, fourth question. Because of the trade deadline, let's have some fun here. Colin, will Claude Giroux still be a Flyer after the deadline?
No, I think there's too much smoke. Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Oh, that's so sad. Gail, is Fleury going to be a Blackhawk after the trade deadline?
I almost said yes, but no, he's going to go to a contender.
I think so too. Again, sad, but they deserve to go to winning teams. That's best for them, probably. And final shootout round question. What is your final prediction of the score of the Hawks-Flyers game on Saturday in Philly? Colin?
I already got this one, 4-3. The ghosts of the past will rear their ugly head.
Ooh. Okay, Gail?
I think they're going to bounce back. Well, they have the Oilers first, so don't take for granted the Oilers. And Hjalmarsson Legacy Night. But I think they're going to bounce back and get a 4-1 win, the Blackhawks.
Ooh, okay. So I was going to say maybe 2-1 Flyers.
Close game.
Yeah, I think it'd be a close game of some sort. But yeah, we'll have to see how this. I'm excited actually now to see how our predictions come out here.
I know. We'll have to see who got it right, if any of us.
Yes. I'm not good at these predictions, so they'll probably win win like 8-2 or something like that. So that will conclude tonight's episode of Blackhawks Banter. Thank you, Gail, and thank you so much, Colin, for coming on the show and talking with us. This was so much fun to, revisit the Hawks and Flyers history, and I think this will make their game on Saturday that much more fun. So thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure, guys.
Yes. And thank you to everyone who tuned into the episode. Please follow us on Twitter. Give us your thoughts. Please tell us how you did in either the shootout round or the Guess the Player segment. And we can't thank you enough for tuning in. We love you guys all so much. So thank you so much. Enjoy the games. And also you can follow all of it'll be in the description at thehockeywriters.com. You can follow all of our articles for the Flyers and the Hawks. So feel free to check that out too. And good night, guys. Thank you guys again.